This pretty idea about true love is loving somebody by absolutely everything that is about them. It is such a false and philosophically conflicting zone.
That's true.
Any person who would actually fall for this pop culture narrative would completely end up in a massive, crushing disappointment. So, here is the juice. Think about it practically. Is there really something so absolute about a human being that you can just blindly fall in love with every single part of them?
This is just simply unacceptable.
Historically and philosophically, this idea makes zero sense. If you look at Plato's Symposium, his entire philosophy of love is fundamentally based on the pursuit of the good. You are supposed to be drawn to a person's virtues, their courage, their integrity, their kindness. Nowhere in classical philosophy does it state that you should fall in love with a person's vices, their cruelty, or their dysfunction. But somewhere along the line, modern society twisted this. We started believing this toxic, cinematic romanticism that if you do not love and blindly accept your partner's massive red flags, you just aren't loving them enough. You are not giving the relationship enough. From a clinical standpoint, as a psychologist, I would totally warn you against this absolute acceptance. Murray Bowen, a massive pioneer in family systems therapy, talked extensively about the concept of differentiation of self. A healthy, sustainable adult relationship requires two highly differentiated people who can maintain their own individual moral compasses. But when you force yourself to love everything about your partner, you lose that differentiation. You enter into what we call clinical enmeshment, where you can no longer tell where your values end and their toxic traits begin. Then there is Carl Jung's concept of the shadow, the dark, repressed, and negative parts of the human personality. Jung said, we must acknowledge the shadow, right? We have to know it exists. But he never said we should let our partner's shadow run the household, dictate the relationship, and destroy our peace. Acknowledging a flaw is not the same as loving it. So, what is actually agreeable here in reality? It's certain facets, okay? Certain behaviors that are dependable, that actually make for a long, secure life together. But it absolutely doesn't mean that everything about that person is to be loved or is even inherently good. And this is exactly why this absolutist mindset is so incredibly dangerous.
100%.
Because of this myth, people completely abandon their own integrity. This is exactly why you see women who feel they absolutely have to defend their husbands even when their husbands are dead wrong. I have seen this dynamic in my practice so many times. A husband will do something objectively terrible, okay? Maybe, he would exploit other people or he would behave lecherously with some girl. He might even directly harm or disrespect women from his wife's own so-called sisterhood, her own close friends. And what does the wife do? She defends him to the grave, completely alienating her own support system. She does it because she thinks he is my husband. I have to love and protect all of him. No, you are acting as a human shield for a toxic person. And it happens just as often on the other side. There are husbands or boyfriends who feel bound by this romantic, ideal to defend the absolute misbehavior of their girlfriends even when they actually know exactly how wrong it is. The girlfriend or the wife, could be incredibly vindictive. She could be insulting his family, or creating massive drama out of thin air. And the guy will stand there and vigorously defend her actions to the world because end of the day he has to sleep with her. He compromises his own sanity, his own logic, and his own social standing because he thinks holding her accountable is somehow a betrayal of his commitment and also a denial of sleeping together. Let me be very clear. Abandoning your own moral compass to protect your partner's bad behavior is not love. It is moral disengagement. It is pure enabling. True love requires the heavy, sometimes uncomfortable friction of accountability. You can love someone deeply and still look them into the eye and say, I love you, but what you did today was completely wrong and I will not defend it. If you find yourself stuck in a dynamic where you are constantly compromising or having to compromise your own values just to prove your loyalty to your partner, you know you need a session with me at lindashok.com.